A Christian group in Nigeria says around 50 of the more than 300 children kidnapped from a Catholic school last week have escaped and been reunited with their families. Nigeria has seen a spate of attacks by armed gangs recently, with 2 schools and a church the latest targets. Authorities have closed schools across the north of the country as more than 200 children taken in the most recent attack are still missing.
St Mary's Catholic School remains closed after a gunman committed one of the worst abductions Nigeria has ever seen. Hundreds of parents wait desperately for news of their children who were taken from here.
In my house, there is no peace. Everyone is confused at home, and there is no peace. My son is a small boy. He doesn't even know how to talk. We don't know what condition he's in. There is no peace. We are so worried to the extent that even his mother fell sick, so they took her to the hospital.
Nearly 50 schools have been ordered to close due to insufficient security. They are often seen as soft targets for gangs of men who storm the premises and kidnap those inside. It's been a week of brazen attacks. Last Monday marked the first mass school kidnapping in more than 18 months. 25 students were taken from a girls' school in the northwestern Kebbi state. They are all still missing. The following day, gunmen stormed a Christian church in the state of Kwara, killing 2 people and taking 38 others hostage. They have since been rescued by security forces. Then, just 3 days later, St Mary's School. 315 students and teachers disappeared from the boarding school in Niger State when armed men stormed the campus in the early hours of the morning. Over the weekend, slight relief. 50 of those children managed to escape their captors, but the majority are still missing.
Not heard of anything. We don't know which group or terrorist group that's responsible for this. And I know that the security agencies, the government, and other major stakeholders, including the diocese, they're on top of the game. And we're just praying and hoping that these children will be rescued and returned back safely to their parents.
No one has claimed responsibility for any of the 3 abductions. But for years, heavily armed criminal gangs have carried out kidnappings for ransom. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu held a security conference on Sunday, where it was decided that around 100,000 police officers would be withdrawn from protecting so-called VIPs. They're being redirected to core policing duties, particularly in remote communities, like the ones still missing their children.
Let's go over now to our correspondent in Lagos, Lisa Chukwuma is covering this. Tell us, what's the situation now in Papiri, where this mass abduction took place? What's known about the fate of the missing children? This must be very distressing for their families.
Well, indeed, it has been very distressing for the families. They don't have information yet about the fate of children who were taken away en masse from their school last week, St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri. There is growing anger, frustration, and sadness about the government's inability to prevent such attacks and abductions, which have become quite rampant in many parts of northern Nigeria. We are in touch with the community, Christian community, or many of the parents of that school, and they've actually told us that, in fact, yesterday evening, one of the parents died last night from the shock of having 3 of his children taken away. So the community is still reeling from this latest attack on the school, with over 200 children still missing, with no word about where their whereabouts.
Well, tell us more about efforts to locate and rescue those who've been kidnapped. What's the government saying?
Well, the authorities have said that they've announced that they've deployed a tactical squad alongside local hunters to really comb these areas to find the missing children. Don't forget that we're talking about not just one attack, but a separate attack in another state, which was highlighted in the reports in Kebbi State, where about 24 schoolgirls were taken. And we have in Niger State, Papiri, where over 200 students are still missing. So there's a lot for the authorities to comb in this area, because this is a very large state indeed. It's the biggest state in Nigeria, Niger State. It's bigger than countries like the Netherlands and indeed Belgium. So the authorities have said that they have deployed these hunters alongside tactical squad. The President Tinubu have announced for the redeployment of over 100,000 police officers to go back into core policing duties within such communities. And they've also announced the approval of 30,000 additional recruitment of police officers nationwide. So these are the efforts we're getting from the authorities that have been announced so far.
Give us a sense of the security challenges that Nigeria faces right now. We've had these 3 attacks in very short order. Are authorities capable of keeping Nigerians safe in these areas?
Well, that's the big question every Nigerian is asking right now. Can the authorities protect lives and property? With the incessant attacks in churches being targeted, schools being targeted, abductions being done in just about 3 attacks last week and other underreported ones. The question is about the ability of the security forces, the police, the army, and the officials in protecting lives and property and keeping them safe. Because if schools are being attacked, we've heard about the shutdown of many schools in northern Nigeria as a precaution to avoid further attacks from happening. So it's a question of how much can the security agencies deploy to stop these attacks from happening, because 3 happening last week and closing down of schools does not paint a very good signal for Nigeria's government.
Olisa, thank you very much for your reporting. That was Olisa Chukwuma in Lagos.